Hello everybody, my name is Christian and welcome back to Skycast, and we have a lot to cover, kind of having more of a calmer severe weather period as we get into portions of latter June, but it's going to start picking back up. Let's go ahead and get right into it. And so to it. And so, yes, everybody, we have had a kind of a calm, severe weather period over the last little bit, kind of between the slight and the marginal risks. We even had kind of a outbreak of severe weather through portions anywhere from Alabama over into portions of like Baltimore, for example. So let's go ahead and get right into that, and I'll show you kind of what happened. And so right here we are on Tornado HQ, and anywhere you're seeing kind of those gray polygons is where we had somewhat of a severe weather event. You can see down here towards Alabama had a tornado warning. This was an observed tornado. Had a pretty big CC drop on this one in particularly I was watching. Multiple wind events down there as well. You come up here to Ohio though. Multiple other tornadoes had that observed marking up here towards the east and northeast of Columbus. And then you get over here towards portions of the Baltimore region. Tornado HQ is not picking it up for some reason, but everywhere back here from almost Lovettsville, Leesburg, we had tornado warnings start back over here towards towards the east of Hagerstown. We had these tornado warned storms, and these were radar. A lot of these were radar indicated, but some of these I do know one went directly into the downtown area of Baltimore. These were tornadoes that were damaging, that did produce those winds of anywhere from 70 to almost 100 miles an hour. So it wasn't relatively too wildly strong, but it was very much a damaging event. One of these tornadoes back towards the west of Gaithersburg, east of Leesburg, was very strong, and we have photos of that one as well. And so here we are looking at the actual storm reports map, and yesterday was a pretty weird event to say the least. Very widespread areas, but the thing with that is that it wasn't all just one exact risk. There were multiple marginal risks anywhere from here down towards the deep south, up here towards portions of like Michigan, Wisconsin, back up to the Maine, which you can't see because of my webcam, which I'll remove for a second, but back up here towards Maine, and then down here towards the more of the New England states. And we did have a tornado report down here towards Alabama, but a bunch of these wind reports is what happened down here. We have these tornado reports up here in Michigan. You can see them in Ohio as well, and then you can see just where we had that kind of that outbreak towards Maryland into the Virginia area. You can see all those little red triangles down there. So 26 tornado reports, preliminary data. So this is not confirmed. We have 181 wind reports, 11 hail reports, and over 218 reports on this day itself. So very, very wild event that we've seen. We were watching this and giving updates on Twitter, so make sure to drop a follow link in the description for those live updates. And so we are continuing the severe weather risk today. National Weather Service has 3 areas of interest being highlighted. One being over here towards the Texas-Oklahoma Panhandle, one being down here towards Florida, and then the other one being over here towards the east, kind of the same areas that got hit, anywhere from New Jersey to Delaware, into Maryland, all the way down into portions of the North Carolina vicinity. The tornado threat, not relatively there, and this is something that we have not seen in a while, that less than 2% in all areas. So that is very good to see with that, although it is 2024, could maybe see something somewhere, but you just have to be weather aware to make sure that we don't. Wind threat, 15% through all areas, and then hail threat being more of a concern towards the Florida area, a little less of a concern towards the Panhandle, and then mainly non-existent towards the northeast area that we're seeing. So overall, pretty low-end event. Yesterday was a low-end event. Today is kind of a little bit of an upper level than it was yesterday. So that kind of goes to show that you need to be weather aware. You need to know what to do in case that something does happen. Scattered severe thunderstorms are possible this afternoon into early evening for parts of the mid-Atlantic states due to 50 to 65 mile per hour winds, damaging gusts. You do have that threat. Scattered severe thunderstorms are also possible over the eastern half of the Florida Peninsula and parts of western Oklahoma and into the Texas Panhandle. Large hail up to 1 to 1.75 inch hail, so that can be very damaging, can knock out your windows. You need to be indoor if you see something like that. And severe gusts of 60 to 70 mile per hour will be all of these hazards with those stronger thunderstorms there. And you can pause to read the hypnosis if you would like. And then we get into tomorrow, where we do have this slight risk on Friday towards portions of the more upper plains area from Kansas and into portions of Nebraska. March north stretching all the way down into the Panhandle, east into Iowa, Missouri. Then we have this general thunderstorm risk stretching all the way over into portions of California and into Oregon. And then we have two other areas that could see thunderstorms that aren't going to be as much of a severe concern, so do enjoy those while you can. That's going to be everywhere from Louisiana over into Florida, pretty much the whole state of Florida here, and then up into the northeast into the New Englands. Severe thunderstorms are possible Friday from central high plains into the central plains on Friday, and that's what we're highlighting with this. Look at that tornado threat. Not much towards Kansas, but towards that extreme northern side you could see. And then over here towards more portions of Nebraska is where you're going to be seeing that main tornado threat. One thing I want to say is that the area towards Maryland that we were highlighting once again was that 2% tornado threat. Does that mean we're going to have a big outbreak of severe weather here? No, that does not. That just goes to show that you need to be weather aware. You need to have your plan in place, even in these low-end tile events, because the weather has its own mind. We do our best to predict it, but that doesn't mean it's going to 100% be accurate. For wind, you do have that 15% and that 5% where that shoots down into the marginal risk. And then you have hail. Hail not being a major concern, but hail being the reason that's kind of marginal driven towards portions of Iowa, Missouri, down into the Panhandle as well. And if you would like, you can pause to video to you read the hypnosis. This one is fairly long just due to the amount of areas that are under this. Then we get into portions of day 3 on Saturday, where we do have, once again, that marginal risk of severe weather through portions of the Central Plains, anywhere from the high plains of Colorado all the way over into portions of Arkansas and Missouri. We do have that marginal risk there. Multiple areas are going to be see thunderstorms, anywhere from Oregon, California, all the way up into portions of Minnesota, all the way into Maine, and then down into Florida. Going to be a lot of thunderstorms here. We're getting into that portion where there's going to be multiple areas being highlighted. That normally does happen towards the June-July area. A little bit less with outbreaks, but a lot more with those scattered severe weather events across the United States. Probabilistic Saturday becoming a severe weather event is 5%, so not high confidence with this, but we are continuing to watch to see how that confidence grows. Isolated severe thunderstorms are possible from the central high plains across southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma and into the Ozarks on Saturday, and you can pause to read the hypnosis here. Very, very short. Now, if we're looking on the day 4 through day 6, there isn't really anything being highlighted just because we don't have that confidence there. National Weather Service is watching things from Sunday through Tuesday, that day 4 through day 6, but there's just not that confidence there for them to put anything on this map. So we're continuing to watch this as well to see what happens with that. Now, one of the models that I would like to show off is the CFS V2 for the Supercell Composite parameter by the National Institute. Had to figure out the name of the actual place that this model comes from. It's a weather institution in Illinois at one of the colleges up there, and it kind of shows the supercell composite parameter that we're seeing, or in other terms, you know, where we're going to be seeing the main amount of this severe weather. And for week 2, keep in mind, take this with a grain of salt, this is predictive. Towards the Central Plains over into portions of the Great Lakes area and into the High Plains is where we're seeing that main area of concern for severe weather. If we look at week 3, you can see that kind of shifts over into the Central Plains and into the High Plains once again for that main concerned threat. We do have these other areas, though, for that lower end threat towards like the Kentucky, the Ohio Valley, up into the Northeast states, and then into portions of like Montana, Idaho. But that main concern is going to be right here through that Central Plains area. Now, we covered hurricane season in the last video and kind of what we're expecting for Atlantic hurricane season. We do not have any areas highlighted for tropical developments, so as we're beginning to get into the summertime hours, there's something about heat that I want to cover. So let's go ahead and kind of get into what we're expecting for the heat in 2024. And one thing that we can obviously say is that 2024 is going to be an extremely hot summer, and you don't need a scientist to prove that for you. It is very self-explanatory. If we pull up the model here and all that, you can see the actual temperature is right now predicting heat of almost 98 degrees up into portions of almost 100 degrees, and it is 1:20 in Eastern Standard Time. It is almost 11 o'clock over there in Pacific Time. That's how hot it is, and the sun just came up a little while ago, which is why we do have these excessive heat warnings in effect with this. You can see dangerously hot conditions, afternoon temperatures of 107 to 113, and that it is getting into portions of June. It's just going to continue to get hotter. You can see all the way up the board, 91 degrees, 92. We come down here and we go over to Las Vegas. You can see through kind of the area right here, you know, almost 101 degrees. Then we go over to Las Vegas, 98, 99, 100.1, 100.3. That's just kind of how hot it is, and the sun hasn't even fully came up yet in this area. So you need to be on guard if you're anywhere in somewhere that is getting warm. Even if you're not and it's 60, it's 70, it's 80 degrees, you need to make sure that you're staying cool, you're watching for heat stroke symptoms, and you're just making sure all over the board that you're staying safe. We can come down here and we can look at Florida too. Florida almost 94, 95, 96 degrees in this area. And this isn't going to be as hot as we're seeing over in California. That just kind of goes to show that these areas right here are actually that warm, and we need to be on guard and make sure that everybody is staying safe and that we're checking on each other and that everybody's having a good day. So besides that, that's all I really have for you guys today. Make sure we are being weather aware with not only the weather, but, you know, hurricane season starting to pop up, how hot it's getting. It's going to be historic year all over the board, it does look like. So stay weather aware, stay prepared, make sure you have a plan. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Thanks for choosing Skycast, and stay safe.